Happy Friday. Super excited for the weekend, but this is day 2. Like I said, I'm going to try and be really consistent with this. And if you missed my video yesterday, it goes more into depth as to why I'm doing this video series. But essentially, I'm just gonna jump right into it, and I'll give a little explanation into the next couple of days. So the test that I took, the results, it broke it down into a couple of different groups. And this first group that I'm going to be covering is going to be interpersonal traits. And so this includes sociability, recognition, conscious, exhibition, trust, and nurturance. And so my first one that I'm going to be covering is the sociability aspect. And so obviously this is kind of how I prefer to communicate with others. And when this report gets generated, it gives you a very, very in-depth and detailed report kind of explaining these different behaviors. And it bases it off of your other scores. So if you scored low or high in trust or in mental toughness or these different things, it takes that into account when generating this report. So to just kind of dive right into it, for sociability, I ranked a 6, so I'm pretty average, an ambivert, so I'm neither an extrovert nor am I an introvert. And when I'm around some people, I can be outgoing, and I like to communicate, while around others, I can be kind of reserved and withdrawn, which is completely accurate. I have the ability and the desire and willingness to meet strangers, mix in a group, and participate in new activities. But at other times, I prefer to be alone. And in times that I'm in company, my interactions can be warm and it's gratifying, but I don't constantly crave or require contact. While I'm accommodating, or whether I'm accommodating or I'm aloof, and it will depend on the particular people that I'm with. So if I'm with a group of people that aren't super outgoing, aren't communicating a lot, then I'm probably not going to be super outgoing or communicating a lot. I'll probably tend to be a little bit more withdrawn. But if other people are like out there and they're really trying to get to know people and just talking to everyone, then I'm gonna be like, oh, heck yeah, this is a great time. Okay, let's go talk to some people. All right. And it says that it's likely you discovered a balance that is pleasant for you between time spent with others and time spent alone. And so, going through this, that's just kind of, what the report said. But, a report is only as good as your perception with it and how you want to interpret it. And this is kind of what this video is about for me. I really want to share and express how awesome I think that this report is. I definitely don't by any means think that this is like a defining factor of my personality, that this will be my Bible, that when something happens it says like, oh, well, of course that happened because I got a 6 in sociability, so, whatever, and justify reasoning for it. But I think it has contributing factors, and it's definitely some indication of, and my personality and my tendencies and just my very influential traits. And so kind of diving into sociability, for a lot of this, I really have to go back to my childhood. And this is the part that gets difficult for me. I haven't shared, with some people, sure, and I've definitely put things out on the internet, but I've never made a video or really went too in depth about the things that I've experienced as a child. And so I guess if you're watching this, you're gonna learn a lot about me. But growing up was not exactly the most pleasant affair for me. To just be super blunt, I had a lot of child abuse to the point where I was going to be put into foster care. I had a lot of police involvement growing up. I left home before I even graduated high school just because the situation got so bad. And so in my last video, when I talked about a lot of my different traits as something that I had to nurture and manifest on my own, I was really serious about that because my siblings, they definitely don't have the same traits that I do, and I don't think that I think that possibly that they struggled a lot more than I have in life with certain aspects. I've definitely struggled in different ways, but it's because I've cultivated certain things in my life because I was so determined to not be defined with what has happened in my childhood. And so I digress. That's just kind of a preface to some of the topics I'll be talking about. So if that's something that's sensitive to you, definitely, don't continue watching. I wouldn't want anyone to be super offended or trigger emotional responses to the things I'm talking about. But essentially growing up, I really had to be a chameleon a lot, especially in social situations, because like at church, for example, I grew up very severely Baptist Christian in North Idaho, located at the base of the Rocky Mountains. It was really out there, and very rural. And so growing to church is kind of cult-like, to be honest, being away from that for so long. And so having to mimic the people around me to be able to fit in, because a lot of the stuff that happened, like especially when I started going to public school eventually, some mornings are just not good mornings. But if I learned super quickly that if you go into social situations and you're always like really depressed and down and sad, other people really pick up on that, and it's not really something that other people necessarily want to be around. Which sucks, because you should say like, oh, well, if, those people want to be around you, then they should have been like supporting stuff. But when you're in 3rd grade or 4th grade, like people they can't comprehend those aspects. And, as you get older, even now talking about it, some people are very uncomfortable, when I express things that happened, for whatever reason, and that's totally okay. And so my social ability, being a 6 and, having it say that, like, it kind of depends on the people that you're around. You're gonna, be certain ways, and that definitely really makes sense. Especially in my home environment, I am very, very, very incredibly sensitive to the different energies of people. I can really pick up quite quickly when someone is just a little off from how they normally are, which makes me a pretty sensitive person, which kind of sucks, but that's definitely something that I've had to overcome in my life. And so while that's not something that's super new to me, it's kind of nice to just kind of see it in words, to just know that I think sometimes it's just nice to know that you're normal. Like, it's not a defining thing of like, hey, you're totally normal, but it's like, I'm pretty average. And for me, I'm really okay with that. The things that I've taken into account with this test is some things, even if I scored really well on, like a 10, people are like, oh, that's great, you got a 10, but in all actuality, it's kind of crippling, and I need to not be a 10. And in other areas, where I scored low, I definitely need to build that up. And in this instance, this isn't something that I feel the need that I need to build. I'm perfectly capable, talking to strangers, making sales calls, and networking my way around life. And so, but that's kind of for social ability. And I would definitely encourage you, if you got 8 minutes into this video, of just kind of thinking about, if you were to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for your sociability, where do you think you would fall? Do you think that you're completely introverted and you really don't enjoy talking to people? Are you super extroverted? Are you kind of like me and you're just kind of average, and you're just kind of like, hey, if I'm hanging out with super exuberant people, I'm going to be super outgoing, or, no matter who I'm hanging out with, I'm always going to be a little withdrawn. And then evaluate that about yourself. And if that's something that you don't like about yourself, that you feel like it's really hard for you to make friends, and, when you're out in public, that you just really have so much anxiety, if someone were to come up and talk to you, to just kind of evaluate why you think that is. Maybe not even saying like, oh, I need to fix this, but just taking an inward look and just kind of saying, okay, what could have led to this? And then if you do want to get better, then to say, how can I get better at that? And I'll give you a hint. Doing sales will really definitely help you with that. And so for tomorrow, I'm going to the Black Business Expo. the president of our company at Signature here is going to be speaking. So